durvibhavyam ivabhati kavibhischapi cheshtitam nunam bhagavato brahman hareradbhuta karmanaha durvibhavyam ivabhati kavibhischapi cheshtitam nunam bhagavato brahman hareradbhuta karmanaha durvibhavyam ivabhati kavibhischapi cheshtitam. Ladies, nunam bhagavato brahman Nunam, still insufficient. Bhagavata, of the personality of Godhead. Brahman, O learned Brahmana. Hare, of the Lord. Adbhuta, wonderful. Karmanaha, one who acts. Durvibhavyam, inconceivable. Iva, like that. Abhati, appears. Kavibihi, even by the highly learned. Cha, also. Api, in spite of. Cheshtitam, being endeavored for. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O learned Brahmana, the transcendental activities of the Lord are all wonderful, and they appear inconceivable because even great endeavors by many learned scholars have still proved insufficient for understanding them. Purport. The acts of the Supreme Lord in the creation of just this one universe are inconceivably wonderful. And there are innumerable universes, and all of them aggregated together are known as the created mature world. And this part of his creation is only a fractional portion of the complete creation. The mature world stands as a part only, ekang shena stito jagat. Supposing that the mature world is a display of one part of his energy, the remaining three parts consist of the Vaikuntha Jagat, or spiritual world, described in the Bhagavad Gita as Madhama, or Sanatana Dhamma, or the eternal world. We have marked in the previous verse that he creates and again winds up the creation. This action is applicable only in the mature world, because the other greater part of his creation, namely the Vaikuntha world, is neither created nor annihilated. Otherwise, the Vaikuntha Dhamma would not have been called eternal. The Lord exists with Dhamma, his eternal name, quality, pastime, entourage, and personality are all a display of his different energies and expansions. The Lord is called Anadi, or having no creator, and Adi, or the origin of all. We think in our own imperfect way that the Lord is also created. But the Vedanta informs us that he is not created. Rather, everything else is created by him. Narayana paro vyaktat. Therefore, for the common man, these are all very wonderful matters for consideration. Even for the great scholars, they are inconceivable, and thus such scholars present theories contradictory to one another. Even for the insignificant part of his creation, his particular universe, they have no complete information as to how far this limited space extends, or how many stars and planets are there, or the different conditions of those innumerable planets. Modern scientists have insufficient knowledge of all this. Some of them assert that there are 100 million planets scattered all over space. In a news release from Moscow dated February 21st, 1960. Anyone was born at that time? 1960? A few, just a handful, 5 or 7. The following piece of knowledge was relayed. Russia's well-known professor of astronomy, Boris Vorontsov Velyaminov, said that there must be an infinite number of planets in the universe inhabited by beings endowed with reason. It could be that life similar to that on Earth flourishes on such planets. Doctor of Chemistry Nikolai Zirov, covering the problem of atmosphere on other planets, pointed out that the organism of a Martian, for instance, could very well adapt itself to normal existence with a low body temperature. He said that he felt that the gaseous composition of Martian atmosphere was quite suitable to sustain life of beings which have become adapted to it. End of the news release. Srila Prabhupada continues, this adaptability of an organism to different varieties of planets is described in the Brahma Samhita as Vibhuti Bhinnam. Each and every one of the innumerable planets within the universe is endowed with a particular type of atmosphere, and the living beings there are more perfectly advanced in science and psychology because of a better atmosphere. Vibhuti means specific powers, and Bhinnam means variegated. Scientists who are attempting to explore outer space and are trying to reach other planets by mechanical arrangements must know for certain that organisms adapted to the atmosphere of Earth cannot exist in the atmospheres of other planets. This is from Easy Journey to Other Planets. One has to prepare himself, therefore, to be transferred to other different planets after being relieved of the present body, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, text 25. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitri vrataha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajinopimam. You see, when you come to Bhagavatam class, you get free shloka recitation. Okay? So there's always a benefit of being in Bhagavatam class. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. Maharaj Parikshit's statement regarding the workings of the creative energy of the Lord discloses that he knew everything of the process of creation. Why then did he ask Shukadeva Goswami for such information? Maharaj Parikshit, being a great emperor, a descendant of the Pandavas, and a great devotee of Lord Krishna, was quite able to know considerably about the creation of the world. But that much knowledge was not sufficient. He said, therefore, that even greatly learned scholars fail to know about that, even after great effort. The Lord is unlimited, and his activities are also unfathomed. With a limited source of knowledge and with imperfect senses, any living being up to the standard of Brahmaji, the highest perfect living being within the universe, can never imagine knowing about the unlimited. We can know something of the unlimited when it is explained by the unlimited, as has been done by the Lord himself, in the unique statements of the Bhagavad Gita. And it can also be known to some extent from realized souls like Shukadeva Goswami, who learned it from Vyasadeva, a disciple of Narad. And thus the perfect knowledge can descend by the chain of disciplic succession only, and not by any form of experimental knowledge, old or modern. End of purport. Nunam Bhagavato Brahman Harerat Bhuta Karmanaha Durvibhavyam Ivabhati Kavivischa Picheshtitam. O learned Brahman, the transcendental activities of the Lord are all wonderful, and they appear inconceivable, because even great endeavors by many learned scholars have still proved insufficient for understanding them. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jayasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripadamaham vande Sri Gurudinotaranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyeshwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. With the blessings of all the Vaishnavas. So here, Parikshit Maharaj is continuing his discussion by putting forward relevant questions to his guru, Shukadeva Goswami. And he is asking about the Lord's wonderful creation. Now, this is something pretty common, pretty basic, as it is explained in the purport that he must have surely been informed of. Yet, Srila Prabhupada points out that just having basic information is not enough. So he's asking Shukadeva Goswami to explore and explain the process of creation. And he's doing so in a spirit of humility. He's asking his guru to explain what seems to be common knowledge, yet is quite wonderful and astounding. The activities of the Lord are all wonderful. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyang Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha. Krishna is unlimited in all his different faculties and features. It is explained that there are not just, as our Russian scientists here speculate about, there must be 100 million planets or there must be a few thousand of them. There are unlimited universes. And in each universe, there are unlimited amount of planets. And it is compared that each and every universe is just like one mustard seed in a bag of mustard seeds. How many mustard seeds are in a bag, approximately? Wild guess. Unlimited. Perfect. Thank you, Mother. Exactly. Unlimited. Asankhya is usually the word that's given. Like Krishna has unlimited amount of calves. So, unlimited amount of mustard seeds. If a few go missing, no big deal, right? If you do cooking, something goes a little bit off, okay, no problem. As long as you keep the main offering going, you're good, right? For us, big problem, huh? One universe goes missing, big problem. Our phone goes missing, big problem. I mean, you might feel liberated for a few days till you get a new one. By the way, if you're trying to get credits for your course, whichever course you're in, if you talk during Artik or you're on your phone during class, this gives minus points, okay? All right? You got it? So, the Lord's creation is wonderful. Not only has He created, but He also maintains and He destroys. Sristi stiti pralaya sadhana shakti reka chaye vayasya bhuvanani vibarti durga. And He does so through His various agents. Brahma is the one who creates all the life forms. Vishnu himself He maintains, and Durga Devi, she destroys. So, the Lord does not have to do these things. Svabhaviki jnana balakriya cha. He can do so through His various agencies. Yet maintenance is done by Him personally. Because maintenance, you maintain what you consider very important yourself, personally, individually. So He does so, and the living entities are innumerable. There are countless living entities. Have you noticed how many mosquitoes there are in Mayapur? Have you noticed? There's more mosquitoes in Mayapur than there are people on the planet. And they all come out at a certain time. Now is the time. So, this is amazing. This is inconceivable. This is wonderful. How so many living entities can be in one place. And Krishna has given very unique intelligence for each and every living entity. Just like the mosquito, why do they know that they have to get you at the exact spot? You know where the joints are? Have you ever wondered? How do they know that? They know. They know. Why? Because Krishna has given intelligence to every living entity according to the body that they are in. And thus He directs the living entities to find what they are looking for in this universe. Most of them are looking for food. So the ants, they will find your stash of Mahasweets in your room. Have you noticed? Always, right? Always they will find. So that is the unique intelligence that Krishna has invested into each and every living entity. Now, the Lord's activities are so wonderful that people are mesmerized simply by the Virat Rupa. They see the sunrise or the sunset and they go, wow, this is so amazing, this is so wonderful. But if the creation is so wonderful, how wonderful must the Creator be? The one who has done all this. You ever walk around Mayapur, you see the varieties of birds that are there? Unlimited varieties of birds. And you wonder, like, how can birds be so beautiful? Like, there's birds which they're black and they have like yellow stripes on them. Have you noticed? Then there are the kingfisher ones. I mean, there's some are more common. Some are completely orange, the cardinals. Some are a mixture of different colors. Very unique. So, that's Krishna's artistic sense. And all these parts of the universe are working completely perfect. There is no deficiency, there is no lacking in the universe. Everything is complete in this Jagat. Yet Krishna has a different type of activity. He has a unique nature, which is way above and beyond the workings of this universe. And He engages in loving pastimes with His devotees. Here we hear about the creation of the universe, which is done by Brahmaji. Brahmaji had to undergo tapasya. Tapasa brahmacharjena damena cha damena cha tyagena sapasho cha vyam yamena niyamena va. For how long did Brahmaji perform tapasya? 1,000 celestial years. And then Krishna came and He said, thank you. And He shook His hand. That means friendship. Somebody comes, shakes your hands, that means friendship. And Krishna told him what his mission was, and He empowered him, just like He spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Why to Arjuna? There were so many scholars, so many yogis, so many qualified people. Why did he speak it to Arjuna? Anasuyave. Because Arjuna was non-envious. If you want to have friendships, you can't be envious. Because envy will ruin, it will kill that friendship. Because envy means I want to compete with you. It means I want to supersede you. It means I want you to lose. So, there is two main topics here. One is the wonderful creation of the Lord, His wonderful potencies that are seemingly automatically arranging the universe, and how through the process of science, through the process of philosophy, through the process of empiric knowledge, we cannot ascertain what is going on. Why? Because our faculties are limited, they're flawed. We are wrought with the 4 different defects. What are they? This will come up in your exam. What are the 4 defects? Imperfect senses, illusion, okay? Cheating propensity? No. You have cheating propensity? Huh? You may think, okay, all these, but not cheating propensity. Huh? Did you ever get on a bus somewhere or on a train, and when the conductor who sold the tickets came, you just looked the other way? And you thought, maybe he won't see me. I'll save 2 rupees. Has this ever happened to you? Or is it just me? Huh? Come on. Who? 1 person. We got 1 honest person here. 2, 3. Okay. You haven't done it, but you thought about it, right? Okay. Now you're lucky, because in Kali Yuga, if you think about some illegal activity, you don't get the karma. But if you're born in another yuga, you think about it, boom, it hits you. Immediately you get the reaction. So because we are limited in our faculties, in our conditioned state, whatever we create, whether it be microscopes or telescopes, they're also flawed with the same defects. So we can only ascertain the Supreme when He reveals Himself. And He does so, evam parampara praptam imam rajarshyo viduhu sakaline hamata yoganashta parantapra, through the disciplic succession, the unbroken chain of spiritual masters. Now, if you go to your friend's house, do you ever go to your friend's house? Do you have friends? Yeah? Who here has friends? I'm not talking about the virtual friends. I'm talking about real people. You know, like real people. Like the offline reality. Okay, when you go to your friend's house, what's the first thing you ask your friend? No. What's the Wi-Fi password? Right? And then the person, then it becomes tested whether you are actually a friend or not. Because you may say, this is confidential information. It's privileged information. I'm not sure I can actually divulge of this information. Like if you were to step into the GBC office, right? And you'd say, I need the Wi-Fi password. And they will say, off limits here. not your domain. So, and of course your friend, he will tell you why? Anasuyave, because you're not envious. You're not trying to use this information against me. That's why. So there can't be envy if we want friendship. And somehow these 6 enemy, Kam, Krodh, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarja, they always keep on sneaking back in. Have you noticed? Even though we try to get them out, but they always somehow find a way to get back in. It's quite amazing. So, Krishna's pastimes are wonderful. He is so wonderful that anyone who comes in contact with Krishna becomes benefited. Putana came and she wanted to kill Krishna. Yet Krishna saw, oh, she looks like a nurse. She acts like a nurse. Okay, there's some poison and there's a few other things, but I'll take out the bad stuff and I'll accept the good stuff. And he gave her liberation. Krishna, when he saw Aghasura, he knew immediately, this guy's bad news. But the coward boy thought, wow, this looks amazing. We got to check this out. This is good adventure. Because for young boys, anything that's dangerous is very exciting. It's very, very exciting. So they immediately went in, but then because Aghasura is a big demon, is a big snake, when they were in there, they immediately fell unconscious. They practically died. So Krishna also went in there, and just by looking at them, he revived them. Just brought them back to life. And then he liberated Aghasura, and they all walked out. Yet in the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he does not kill the demons. He kills the demoniac mentality that is there in the demons. So if we want to be followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we should follow the same protocol. That we're not confronting, we're not fighting aggressors, but we're taking shelter of the holy name. And by that, people's demoniac mentality will become changed. It will become affected. It will become transformed. Just like the Mayavadi sannyasis, led by Prakashananda Saraswati. They were very proud of their learning. Here in today's verse, we hear about how if you just have knowledge, that will not qualify you to know Krishna. They had a lot of knowledge. They studied Vedanta. They were very austere. Yet they were also very proud, arrogant. And they thought, who is this Chaitanya? He's just an upstart. Yet, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he sat down in the lowly place where they were washing the feet. So Prakashananda came over, and by his hand, he brought him into their midst. And by that act of Agyata Sukriti, he got the adhikar. He got the proper mentality which was required in order to receive some knowledge. In the hermeneutics of the Mimamsaka, it is said that Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana are not the only three categories for, it's about Sambandha is relationship, Abhideya is the process, and Prayojana is the goal. So anything, you can divide it into these three. But Mimamsaka says that there's a fourth one, and it's adhikar, which is your qualification. What is your attitude? Or what is your motive? Why are we here? Why are we doing what we're doing? And Mimamsaka says that this is actually the most important one. Because according to our adhikar, we will go about in a specific way. Have you noticed, depending on how your attitude is, you take a different approach to your work or to your study or to your sadhana or to your life? So we say attitude is everything. So what is our attitude? What is our attitude? So the chain of disciplic succession is giving transcendental knowledge. It is coming down through this parampara. Tarko pratishta shutyo vibinnam nayasya rishir matam nabinnam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhaya mahajano yenaka taksa panta. That you can't ascertain the truth just by being a good memorizer, a person who has got a lot of information. You have to actually follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans. Swayambhur Narak Shambhu Kumara Kapilomanu Pralada Janaka Bhishma Balirvaya Sakirvayam. You have to follow in their footsteps, and that means studying their instructions. And they're all in the Bhagavatam. So if you read Bhagavatam, we're following the footsteps of the Mahajans. And for us, to follow Srila Prabhupada's example is the most important. Sometimes people came and they asked Prabhupada, so all these yogis, all these mystics, they're all doing so many miracles. So Swamiji, what is your miracle? Prabhupada pointed to the devotees and said, this is my miracle. Because all these people were going this way, but now they're going that way. That's the miracle. That there was a complete change, 180 degree, total backflip from where we were heading to the course that we're pursuing now. That is a miracle. That is Prabhupada's miracle. Srila Bhaktitirtha Swami Maharaj, when he was known as Ghanshyam Prabhu, he was out on Bhukti Sibhushan and the library party, going to universities all across North America and other countries as well. Mahabodhi Prabhu told me that one time they went to a smaller university in a rural area, and the university was closed. No one was there. They didn't know. There was some holiday. And it seemed like they've wasted their time to drive all the way out to that school. So Mahabodhi said, let's pack up and let's just move on to the next place. Let's be quick. And Bhaktitirtha Maharaj said, no, let me use the restroom. And he said, yeah, but don't be long. So Maharaj went into the restroom, and then there was another person in the restroom, so he started talking to that person in the restroom, and it turned out it was a professor of Sanskrit. And he bought 2 standing orders for all of Prabhupada's books. So even though the university was closed, but because he had such a burning desire to distribute Prabhupada's books, not only did he buy a standing order for his department, but he also bought another one for the anthropology department. He said, we need 2 standing orders. Why? Because he had that intense desire to please his spiritual master. Krishna manifested Adbhuta, the wonderful quality, the wonderful feature. So we are all here today because we want to see the magic. Do you want to see the magic? About 3 people want to see the magic. Who wants to see the magic? You do? Or you've given up on magic and all that stuff? No, we want to see the magic. That's why we're in Krishna consciousness. That's why we're here. And that's why we're engaging in Sankirtan, because when you engage in Sankirtan, Krishna does the magic. The other day we were doing Sankirtan through the campus here, and Ramanipati, he saw us and he said, this is the best Istagoshti. This is the best Istagoshti, when the devotees chant together. And Giriraj Maharaj, he tells that in Juhu, when they were building the project, there was a lot of problems. I mean, you only read about some of the problems in the book. But there were baskets, there were heaps of problems. And they made it a rule, because one time there was a kirtan party who came, and they did 24-hour kirtan. And Prabhupada liked it very much, and he said, you should be doing this. So then regularly, once a week, they would have kirtan like that for 24 hours. And after that, there was practically no more problems to discuss about in Ishtagoshti. So if we're finding that there's problems in my life, there's problems in my community, there's problem in my area, then let us do Sankirtan, because that will actually change the atmosphere. It will change the mood. It will change the demographics. There are no material solutions to material problems. A problem cannot be solved on its level. We have to take shelter of the internal energy, of the higher potency. Now the Bhagavatam is so wonderful that it not only gives us the solution, it also gives us the case studies of what not to do. Just like Suruchi. You remember Suruchi? Huh? Yeah, Dhruva's stepmother. She said, you cannot be here because you are not my disciple. You're not initiated by me. This is my zone. If you want to be here, you have to die, take birth again, and be my disciple. So, and because of that attitude, she had to die. So if we have this attitude that this is my zone, this is my temple, these are my disciples, this is my property, then either that mentality has to die or we have to die. Because Krishna will not tolerate it. The modes are very powerful. Modes of material nature are relentless, constantly fighting for supremacy. Now, even though we had a guru reform in 87, still the ghost of the Sonal Acharya days is still haunting us. Have you ever been haunted by a ghost? Have you ever seen a ghost? No? You don't believe in ghosts and magic and mystical things? No, all this is a fact. Prabhupada was good at exorcism, so was Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I once saw Jayapataka Maharaj perform an exorcism on a person who was severely possessed here in Mayapur. So this is not fairy tales, this is real. So the ghost of the Sonal Acharya days is still haunting us. And it can only be liberated through Harinam Sankirtan. If we get together and in a spirit of cooperation, in a spirit of unity and diversity, in a spirit of encouragement and empowerment, we work together to spread this Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then all these ghosts will leave us. Otherwise, they will haunt us. They will torment us. They will devour us. Scary stuff, right? Yes. Those who are from the 80s and 90s, they know a lot of people have been devoured by these ghosts. So, we need empowerment. Parampara means empowerment. Srila Prabhupada did not see the deficiency in the people that Krishna sent to him. He saw the potential in them. He saw what they can be by Krishna's mercy, by Krishna's potency. Every person who walked into that door at 26 2nd Avenue, Prabhupada treated him and her like the future leaders of the Hare Krishna movement. Guess what happened? They became the future leaders of the Hare Krishna movement. That's exactly what happened. And they spread the movement all over the world. When I was at the bright old age of 23, many moons ago, I was called to Mayapur because I distributed a few books, and my spiritual master said, "We just made you the minister of book distribution." And I said, "What does that mean? What is the job description?" And he said, "There's no job description. We're not there yet." But he said, "You know better than them. You're already doing it. So just continue doing what you're doing. And if anybody gives you trouble, you send them to me. I'll take care of them." I said, "Okay, we got a deal here." We shook hands. That is empowerment. When I was in Moscow, in Yurlava, on Brahmotsava, the appearance day of their deities, there was a festival, and Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu was there. And I asked him, do you all know Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu? The majority of you may not have met him, but he's the one who translated the remaining Bhagavatam, also Brihad Bhagavatamrita, many other wonderful books. So I asked him, "What are you working on?" And he asked me, "Do you have a pen drive?" And I said, "Yeah." So I gave him my pen drive. And he copied everything on the pen drive. All the books that he was working on, all the projects, he gave me the pen drive. He didn't say this is classified. He didn't say don't give this to anybody. Why? Empowerment. Because he felt you and me, we're on the same team. We're on the same mission. What I know, you must know. Because you have to do the same job that I'm trying to do. But I'm old. I won't be here for long. So I want you to have this. Here, take it. That is empowerment. That is what we need. Not like, oh no, I won't tell you, or I'll give you false information so that you will fail. No, not like that. So we need empowerment. That is parampara. We need thousands of gurus. Now, not in 2,000 years. Now. So, this is our heritage. This is what the Bhagavatam is teaching us. This is what we're meant to learn, meant to imbibe, and meant to pass on. Otherwise, believe it or not, some of the people will actually read the books that we distribute to them. Believe it or not. Can you imagine? Some people will actually open the books and they will read them. And then they will ask us, why are you guys not doing what it says here in these books? It's kind of stupid, isn't it? There's another word for it. It's called hypocrisy. If somebody calls you a hypocrite, that's pretty much, you know, those 4 defects, all that, you know. But being called a hypocrite, that's pretty heavy stuff. So we should not be called hypocrites. We have to follow our own theology. Otherwise, we'll not be effective. And that's why we do all these courses. That's why we get together and discuss. That's why we go out together and do Harinam Sankirtan and try to share this message with others. So that we experience this adbhuta, this wonderful potency of Krishna. One devotee told me they had a marathon in Moscow just now. Minus temperatures, very cold. Not as cold as Sharanagati, where it's minus 40 degrees right now. Yeah. So, one devotee was distributing books in Moscow just a few days ago. And one lady came up to him, well-dressed, and she said, "Excuse me, sir, I would like to clean your shoes." And he said, no, not required. And she said, no, you don't understand. I'm part of a group. We have a study group, you know. The theme is psychology. Probably they had a project on humility. And our assignment is we have to go find a stranger and clean his shoes. So I would like to clean your shoes. He unwillingly relented and accepted. And afterwards he said, I'm also part of a group, you know. We're distributing these books. And part of this, you know, venture, we try to give this knowledge to people. So he gave her a set of books and he said, these are for you and you can give whatever you like. And she contributed. And in this way they both exchanged. And they both helped each other out. One time, it was in Marathon, they dropped me off. It was many years ago. I didn't have a driver's license, I believe. I was still not initiated in the early 80s. And they dropped me off at a big mall, at a big supermarket. And my leader, you know, it goes fast. You just jump out and they drive off. And then I realized that the supermarket was closed for inventory. They were taking count of all the product that's still there. So the place was closed. And I thought, oh my God, this is terrible. Yet, then I saw people kept driving in, parking the car, going to the front door. They see the sign, closed for inventory. They turn around and go back to the car. So I went up to them, showed them the books. I mean, the only thing that there was to buy that day was Prabhupada's books. So what looked like a disaster, it looked like terrible, it became adbhuta, it became wonderful. Because here I was, the only guy who had something to sell. And I had all these people to myself. There was no competition. It was amazing. So Krishna can turn a situation that looks favorable into something very terrible. Sometimes you think, oh, this is my place, I own this is mine, I control this, and it turns into something very ugly, something very dangerous. And sometimes we're in a dangerous situation, and Krishna turns it into something wonderful, something amazing. That is the magic, that is the beauty, that is the wonder of Krishna. So we're here today because we want to see the magic. And we will see the magic to the extent that we're ready to empower others, to the extent that we're ready to pass the torch, that we're ready to help others to come to Krishna consciousness. To that degree, Krishna will lift the veil of Maya, of the modes, and you will see the magic of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. We got time for questions or comments? It's kind of strange because in this building, every single clock shows a different time, which is very convenient, but not so easy to manage. So sorry if I've spoken a little strongly on these topics, but since we're in the family and you're friends, I think it's important that we learn how to share our hearts and our observations, and we are ready to be chastised by our teachers. Yes, Mother, please.
Ramji, thanks for your wonderful class. You were speaking about how things turns into magic by the Lord's mercy and the devotee's mercy. Could you please, you have many experiences, I know, in your life. Anything that is life-changing experience became an inspiration to everybody?
You have to come to the seminar. You have to buy the premium version, you know. This is only the free sample here. If you want the real thing, you got to come and put in the effort. You know how it is. I mean, there's countless stories that we can tell. I just shared a few, but I don't want to get autobiographical in Bhagavatam. I'm already criticized for telling book distribution stories and messing with the minds of the not so innocent brahmacharis. And so maybe something else will come up. We'll see. Yes.
Thank you for a very enlightening class. I have a question. Your point about empowerment is well taken. Where does devotee care figure in that empowerment program? Because I've heard devotees say, as long as I'm able, I'm active, I'm energetic, I'm useful to the temple, everyone is clapping their hands. The moment I'm old, tired, stressed, depressed, in an accident, I'm persona non grata.
Yes, that is a fact, and that's why we're here, studying and discussing these topics. Because, let's face it, after 35, people don't change much. It's just sociological fact. At a certain age, our mindset, our mentality kind of galvanizes, and we become quite stern in our way, in our being. It doesn't say that you can't learn, but it just becomes more difficult. Prabhupada was asked, why do you have so many young people? He said, because that's when people go to school. They want to learn. They want to improve themselves. But not using that as an excuse, it is quite disheartening to see the lack of devotee care, even though we may do ILS and seminars and nice posters and PR and all that. But I just recently heard that one devotee who's been serving for 45 years has been told by his authority that who will pay for your prasadam? And it's not a good joke, you know, because we should have a vision that has a cradle-to-grave approach that has place for everybody. Otherwise, yes, we can say that cows only come in one gender, female. Why? Because they give milk. Huh? But then what happens to the bulls? That's a problem. It's considered a problem. And brahmacharis, of course, they only come in one gender, male. But that also becomes a problem. So unless we actually study the Bhagavatam and live the Bhagavat culture, we will just be oblivious to what's actually going on. I don't know if this is, if we're getting canceled here, or the cancel culture, you know? Like you say one word that's not in line, then, you know, the chute opens up, you know, and you go out. So, a culture is not maintained through laws and legislation and meetings and bureaucracy, but rather through role models, through positive examples. That's why we need grandmothers. That's why we need elders, people who have been through life, who know what it's like. They have walked the journey, and who are benevolent and detached. It's not anymore about, are you with me or against me? What's my economic incentive? But they can just lavish their affection and also give a little correction and chastisement when necessary. That is very much required. Yet we're still very young in years and very young in experience as a society. So we're still making terrible mistakes. Yet, by the sacrifice, by the effort and the cooperation of all the devotees, previous, current, and future generations, hopefully, we will see sanity. I'm not sure if in our lifetime, but hopefully soon. So that's, I don't know whether that helps, but these are just some words of reflection on that. Yes, one here. And then, oh, you already got the mic. I guess you might as well use it, right? All right.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we do love the book distribution stories, believe it or not. If you don't mind, kindly share some more references about Adhikar. It does definitely make sense, you know. Sabandha, and then Abhidaya and Prayojana, and then you said Adhikar. Can you kindly share some more light on that, please?
Yes, depending on my attitude, I will have a different experience and a different outcome. Just like, for instance, we're reading this text. We could read this text and just analyze it in terms of grammar, analyze it in terms of historical context, sociological context, philosophical context. Or we can actually ask ourselves, what did the author have in mind when he wrote this? What did he want to communicate to us? What was his intention? Why did he say what he said, the way he said it? And that is the most important one of all the different angles, because that's what was in his heart. As it says in that verse, Guhayam, what's the guha? What's the secret? You want to know the secret, right? The magic, the secret sauce. But for that we have to be able to connect to the heart of the author or the person, our teacher. And for that we have to dig a little deeper, go beyond grammar, go beyond philosophy, go beyond rhetoric, go beyond argument and logic, and get into what is the actual purpose, what is the actual spirit. And then, by the grace of our teachers, we'll be able to enter into that mystery, into that guha, into that magical abode where Krishna's pastimes are taking place continuously. And Krishna is willing and very much capable of engaging with unlimited amounts of living entities in a perfect way that is totally satisfying. So bhakti is the most congenial form of intimacy. And in the Nectar of Instruction, to the third verse, Utsaha Nischayat Daryat, Srila Prabhupada says that Utsaha, or enthusiasm, is endeavoring with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. You want to write that down? Utsaha, or enthusiasm, is endeavoring with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. So all this is there in Prabhupada's books. So if we study this, we can enter into the secrets and share them with others. Last point, and then I'll let you go, because we've got only 2 minutes on the clock. Okay, I'll give you the Shastri quote from Jiva Goswami afterwards. All right? I have a friend who wrote his PhD on it, so I can give you the pramana. Yes.
Prabhuji, thank you for the wonderful class. You mentioned we have to empower others,
yes.
But that at my current condition state, while empowering, while showing compassion, both ways we can see, like while showing compassion there is some selfish interest, and sometimes there is some what? Selfish interest, like he will be on my side, he will help me, and while the other person who is receiving empowerment, he may also exploit me or take advantage of me. So I have to look out for myself. So how do we get out of this cycle? Like Prabhupada, if you see Srila Prabhupada, he empowered everyone. He did not see whether he's going to exploit me or like, so how
we have to have faith in the process. It's not about me. I'm not the center of existence. This is not a personality cult. Prabhupada didn't call it the Prabhupada movement. It was about Krishna consciousness. Krishna can balance all these things. So take yourself out of the center, let Krishna do the magic, and don't worry about it. Okay? All that other stuff, it's all based on ego. Like, where do I stand? What will I gain? What will I lose? Krishna has got you covered. As long as we are trying to do sincerely what we're supposed to be doing, Krishna will protect us. Thank you for your kind attention and patience. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.